All right, welcome back, United in the States. Weekly wrap up show. Talking all you news, Man United from the past week. I got my man Mo all the way from London. Mo, how's it going?
Not bad. Just excited, like waiting for the Premier League to get wrapped up so we get started with a new season. So yeah, I'm buzzing to see the
Yes,
league finish now.
yeah, same. I think the only exciting thing, yeah, we got the FA Cup, but like transfer window reset, get that new season started. Also got Kevin, Footballer Soccer TV, my fellow, New Jersey resident. Kevin, how's it going?
Pretty good, bro. Thanks for having me. And yeah, the same thing. Just can't wait for the season to be over. We watched the Euros, we watched Copa America, and
Hmm.
hopefully the summer goes by kind of quick, and we make some good business, with Ineos. But I'm sure we'll get more into it. But yeah, man, thanks for having me. Happy to be here, bro.
For sure, for sure. I know you're excited to see who Ten Hag brings in for next season.
Very,
So
very excited.
first bit of news, obviously, we're both talking about, or all three of us talking about summer transfer window, business going on in the summer. Ineos this week, there was news where it came out that, originally Ineos was slated to just take over the football side while the Glazers would keep control of the business side. But, we've seen a lot of moves being made. Richard Arnold was sacked almost immediately. Patrick Stewart, not the guy from Star Wars or Star Trek, but the lawyer Patrick Stewart. He went from general counsel to interim CEO. He's since stepped down, and Jean-Claude Blanc, who was the president of Indiosport, if I'm getting that right,
Yeah.
former CEO of Juventus and PSG. He stepped in as the second interim CEO until we can get Omar Barada in place in mid-July. But it looks like, Ineos is not just taking over. They're doing sort of a, full house cleanup, like, Godfather style, taking out Mo Green and all those other guys and coming in and placing their own guys in there. What do you guys think about this? Are you happy, to see Ineos taking full control? Do you see any
Yeah.
drawbacks? Let me know what you think, Mom.
Yeah, I mean, I'm truly excited about Ineos, even though like it's been just 6 months since like everything was rectified about Ineos, but I'm truly excited from what they are doing. I'm not expecting much from them like within the first season or first 2 seasons because it might take a time, some time for them like to set them properly. But you could see like okay, they are not just like focused on the business side. They really want to get like the playing body out there to compete with the likes of Man City, Liverpool, Real Madrid, and just name them. When Glazers were in charge of the club during the era of Sir Alex Ferguson was mainly in charge of the playing body, and the Glazers were focused on the business side. They were just focused on anything that would bring money to the club. Typical example is like bringing what's the name, Cristiano Ronaldo back to the club. They made more sales from jerseys of from the kids jerseys of Cristiano Ronaldo than what he achieved on the pitch. You could see the likes of the stars they brought, the likes of Angel Di Maria, the likes of Alexis Sanchez. Even though like we the fans were made to believe that okay, these people were brought to the club because they want them to contribute to the club, but it's more than that. It's something like what you see on the screen and what goes on behind the scene. So I'm happy with Ineos. You could see the kind of people that they brought in within 6 months that they've been at club. You could see we've had Jason Wilcox is in. We have Omar Berada is in. Dan Ashworth is in the pipeline coming. Jane Blanc de Blanc is here as well. And then probably with Eric Ten Hag is like 50-50. We don't know until like the season ends and then we see what happens before like the preseason starts. And then you could see Fabrizio Romano has been talking about Michael Olise. I don't want to go there now because we'll be talking about the transfers, but I'm just trying to like highlight on what Ineos are trying to do and the kind of structure they are trying to put in place. So I'm really excited about Ineos, like extremely excited about what they're doing.
Yeah, me too, right? Like it doesn't seem like they're taking a more measured approach. They're really jumping in two-footed. You saw that once the takeover was announced, there was images of Sir Dave Brailsford, interviewing people, talking to Ten Hag, talking to Darren Fletcher. He was seen around, the facilities and the offices a lot. Jim Ratcliffe is doing interviews, not for, football purposes. He's doing like cycling interviews, but he's still talking about the club. They have to ask him. But all the moves that they've been making, right? Like Barada, bringing in Barada, that was something that came out of nowhere. I know something that's always infuriated me is that a United transfer, it's always a drawn out process. The person's name gets leaked. We see that they're linked to United. There's negotiations for months, and then eventually they sign after all the joy has been sucked out of the move. This Omar Barada move, it felt like they were really they were kind of putting their stamp down, and they were making it clear that they were serious players. The Ashworth thing has taken a long time. But I'm happy that they found their guy and they're kind of sticking to their guns and not trying to overpay. But yeah, I think that the team of Barada, Ashworth, and Wilcox, that has me excited as well. Kevin, I know you have like a slightly different take on this, at least from the Ashworth standpoint. Are you excited that they're kind of taking over everything, or
Yeah,
kind of more measured?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited because I mean, anything after the Glazers, to be honest, any structure, it's gonna be an improvement because come on, we had John Murto, we had like all these guys who Darren Fletcher, all these guys who are not like experienced in those roles, you know what I mean? So it's actually a good thing that we have like Jason, that we have John the Blanc guy, that we're getting Omar Barada, even though Omar Barada hasn't really worked as a CEO technically, but that's still to see how good he does. But those are all good steps for me, so I'm definitely like happy about that 100%. And it's up to them to prove that to us that like they know what they're doing, since they've been in the business, in the industry for decades, you know what I mean? I think we need their expertise. We need the expertise of an actual football club and not just the business. And I know they're doing the business side as well, which is great. But as long as you're improving in the football side of things, then then for me, I have no problem with that. You know what I mean? Because we do need new stadium. We do need, if they look at what City has done, like what the Etihad has done, like they've attracted more. They've done more in that city, in that area of Manchester as well. And then if you look at the area by like Trafford, it's it's just like nothing compared to it. So they want to obviously do that and build a new stadium and all these things, which are great. It's going to take time, obviously, but I'm excited about the appointments. I just hope that it works out, because it's going to set us back obviously if it doesn't. And I know this Omar Barada guy, he's new to the role. He hasn't really worked, but I have confidence that since he was at City and he was I think there was a COO or something like that over there. I'm not too sure what it was.
Yeah,
But
he
it
was I think he was
Barada.
CEO. Yeah.
Nah, he was a deputy. He was not the main. He was not the main man over there. He was a deputy over there. He wasn't. He
exactly,
wasn't
like he
necessarily
was
the main man.
underneath.
But he was not. And then
He
even
was
at
underneath.
Barcelona, at Barcelona, he was working at the sporting direct at the sales. He was working at the sales because he did business. And then with Barcelona, he was doing sales. And then he came to Man City to be a deputy of the CEO, of the sporting director here. Yeah.
Right, which is like the one underneath that,
Yeah.
which is pretty good. I mean, he obviously has experience in it, you know what I mean? But it's just like hopefully he's gonna be able to take that step, because we have a lot of work to do. Any person who's gonna take the role of a CEO for our club is so much that had so much damage already throughout the years. It's gonna be a hard task. So, I am excited, but I'm not gonna go crazy if things don't go as planned in a year or two. You know what I mean? Like I'll actually be patient with the process and stuff like that. It's looking good so far, but that's just my take on it. I am excited about it.
Yeah. It's really looking good, because you can see like Sergio Ratcliffe is on it. Like he really means business at Old Trafford. Look at we have some non-playing body, some staff that were working from home for ages. Like they were part of the problem at United, but now they've been ordered to like go back to the office and stop working from home, bro. You could see like, okay, something is about to happen at United. People sit at home like behind their laptop eating Nando's and shit and doing nothing, bro. But now they've been ordered to go back to the office and do proper work. That's what we want at United.
Yo, that Nando's is good, bro. I ate there. I ate there when I went, and the Saka sauce was good. I was like, why do you have to call it Saka? You ruined it. But like the sauce was good.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just want to add to that. What I liked about I remember, Chris, we talked about the whole Ashworth thing.
Yeah,
But what I like about what they're doing, is that I don't know if you heard about but like they're gonna basically take them to court or bring the lawyers, right, to not be
Yeah.
able to get them, and so they don't have to pay that much amount of money and stuff like that. So I like that because these old Englishmen have been around for a while. They know people in the industry. They're gonna know connects. You know what I mean? They're gonna know lawyers. They're gonna have connections everywhere. These old bres like are, you know what I mean? It's like, is as opposed to like, let's say someone from Qatar, right? Let's say if they were to take over, they might have some relations with people in the country, but these guys that have been in the country, Manchester and England, they know people in the connections. So they have like a sense of, I guess, power. And I think that could work in our advantage. You know what I mean? And I like that. I like the fact that they're like, you know what, if you're not gonna if you're not gonna like, let Dan Ashworth go, then we're gonna take you to court. You know what I mean? And we'll win. You know what I mean? I like that mentality that they have. So
Yeah.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
Even though he signed contract with Newcastle, but they cannot keep him against his will. If he
Of
wants to
course.
go, like definitely you have to find a way to settle out. You have to find a way, like for both parties to like depart peacefully. You cannot keep him against his will. So he will definitely leave, even though it's gonna take some time. But I know at the end of the day, he'll definitely be our man. So fingers crossed for that.
Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah,
agree. I agree.
Yeah, no, I'm on board with everything there. I had a slightly different thought. Yesterday where it wasn't necessarily a negative, but I was looking at the difference between, and Mo mentioned everyone going back to work. They're talking about cutting costs. No more free rides to the FA Cup. Not getting Christmas parties if the team doesn't compete, and stuff like that. Like, it's part of it is the change from what they used to be, these clubs, right, and now they're becoming sort of these corporations. And like, part of me had a little bit of a nostalgic feeling. I feel like if we did get Qatar in and they did have the endless money they claim they did, then it's sort of that like blank slate. They can come in with this big paintbrush, get rid of the Glazers, get rid of the debt, and maybe keep things going as long as possible. But I agree with both of you. I think that's not necessarily what's needed now in world football. And to compete at the top, you look at City, you look at Liverpool, you look at all the major clubs in Europe. They are run sort of as these giant corporations now. And to compete at that level, we need to go through this. It feels a little painful, I guess, for the people who are within the club, but we need to go through this cull, this kind of like, we're going to bring this club into the 21st century. Because I think a big problem is we were operating under the old model where, Sir Alex kind of controlled everything. He was such a titan in England. He ran everything. Everyone was scared of him. We could get away with the structure being what it is. But I mean, we hired our first director of football, John Murtaugh, 2 years ago, right? Like the biggest club in the world.
And he's crap.
Yeah. He did a good job in lower roles, but he had no business being director of football. So, we over promoted him, and now we're actually getting the real guy in, which is Dan Ashworth, who, has connections, has experience, has shown he can do a good job at Brighton. And Ineos, they're, preaching that, best in class. So I feel like they're confident he's their guy. But I agree with you, Kevin, in that, I don't want to get like overly excited, and not go too far and say everything is solved. But, the way they're moving so far, I like what I'm seeing.
Let's not forget as well that the only negative thing that I would say is that the Glazers are still in the picture, and I know that Ratcliffe and Ineos have like full control over the sport, but if you think about it, it's like, why didn't they want to sell the club? You know what I mean? What incentive do they have? These greedy bastards, right? So it's like, that's the only thing that's kind of like the negative side. That right now things are looking good, but they're still in the picture. So hopefully it doesn't affect us. And there's eventually they're gonna buy out the club or whatever. But I think it's something more sinister behind it. But who knows? Only time will tell. But that's the only negative thing I would say is just the Glazers are still in the picture. But
one thing you should know is the Glazers are business. They are like a business corporation. So far as like we have new people, like new partners in the club, and Ineos want to take United to the next level. And the Glazers, all they want from United is like to make money from the club. And if Ineos are able to take United to that level to compete with Man City and Liverpool and Real Madrid, it's time to make money. It's time to cash out. So they'll definitely not sell everything. they might sell maybe 50%. That's the best maybe they could do. But I don't think they'll give everything out. Like, I don't think they'll do that because they wanted £6 billion, and the Qataris were willing to give more than that, but they were not willing to leave the club. They still want to be part of United, even though like here they don't help us in any way, but yes, still they want to still cash out from United. So I don't know how we can get rid of the Glazers. It's gonna take some time, but I hope like what Kevin is saying. I hope like with time, maybe we might find a way to like just get rid of them with time, but not anytime soon though.
That's insane. Like what was it? 6 billion, like 6,
Yeah,
7. Like,
6
it's
billion.
crazy.
Yeah,
Like, and they
Yeah.
still didn't want to sell. So it's like,
they still don't want to sell it.
it's kind of like, dude,
They're not leaving anytime soon.
I hold out hope. So the Glazers, they didn't buy the club all at once. Malcolm Glazer bought like a 6% stake for $9 million or a 9% stake for $6 million. I can't remember now. And then he got ingrained in the club, and then he bought, the rest of the shares a few years later. I hope that's what's happening here. And it's just a case of Jim Ratcliffe is taking over a piece now with the intention and some sort of, wink, wink, under the table. Yeah, I'm buying 26% now, but you're going to sell me more in 2 years, etc. That's what I'm hoping for. But, who knows? Maybe we go back to the top and then they decide they don't want to sell. But yeah, just wanted to switch gears real quick. We had some Champions League matches this week. Bayern versus Real. Bayern won, I think 2-1, right? And then Dortmund versus PSG, and PSG or Dortmund
Bayern was 2-2, I think.
2-2, right.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting. You keep counting. You can't count Real Madrid out. They always come back. And then Dortmund versus PSG. Dortmund was 2-1, right?
Yeah. No, Dortmund was 1-0.
1-0?
Yeah, 1-0.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me just check my medication real quick. Maybe I'm mixing too much. Yeah. So anyway, the Bayern one. I like Real Madrid. I'm happy they beat City. Not really concerned who wins on that side. Honestly, personally, Dortmund, PSG, I don't really care as much who wins. But one of United's players, Jadon Sancho, is playing for Dortmund now. Had a really great match. I think, it's good from my perspective because that just makes his transfer fee creep up and up. And if he continues to play this way, if they win in Paris and then he gets to play in the Champions League final, has a good game there, we can turn around. We can ask Dortmund for our money back, right?
Do you really want to sell Jadon Sancho?
He doesn't want to come back. He doesn't want to come back. If you saw the reports today, Sancho, there was a report of in Germany that saying that he doesn't want to come back to United. So even if we wanted him, I don't think he's actually gonna do it.
But I think if Ten Hag leaves, he might definitely want to come back to Man United. He doesn't want to come back because of Ten Hag.
Yeah, but it's in the report. It said regardless of whether Ten Hag leaves or not. I don't know. It's just a report. It's not true. It's not 100% true. But I could see it happening. You know what I mean? Like, because he was ruining his time in United, and he has, he had good potential, and maybe he wasn't good enough for the Premier League. Maybe it was too much pressure. Who knows? Or maybe it was just the manager. Like, we don't know. But I personally, I would have him back if he wants to come back. 100%. Like, come back, because we need a player like that in our squad. 100%.
What do you think, Mo?
Yeah, I'll definitely have him back. It's up to him, like, to just, I don't know, because he was at City and he couldn't break through to the first team. He went back to Germany. He went to Germany and he performed like extraordinary. He came back to England. He couldn't perform again. And then he went back to Germany. He's performing now. So I think maybe his strength lies outside the Premier League. Maybe like he's struggling to survive in the Premier League. Like, he cannot perform in the Premier League. But if he's to come back to United and perform like the way he did against Paris Saint-Germain, why not? I would always have him back to United. Always have him back to United.
But that PSG team, who was Hakimi, right? Like, it was
Mendes
or Mendes.
Mendes.
Bro, he had the
Nuno
guy
Mendes
on skates, man.
Mendes
cooking him, bro.
Yeah, Mendes was so good. Did you watch him against like Barcelona? He was phenomenal, but he was struggling against Sancho. But playing against Barcelona, like, he was one of their best players. So you could see with Sancho, the talent is there, because you cannot tell me like a player will flop and then he'll come back to his highest peak again. He has the talent. Maybe he has an issue. He has some issues at United. I don't know, but he still has the talent.
That's what I was thinking. Like, because this guy's talent is there. I don't think that the Premier League was too hard for him. I don't think that at all. I just think that circumstances, how he came into United at first, and then supposedly he wanted to play left wing or right wing, something like that, and Ali wasn't even playing him. He got off to a slow start, and all these things could I guess mess with the player. And then Eric Ten Hag, like didn't really use him. So all these things I think are a factor to it. I don't think that it was necessary he's a bad player.
And even with Dortmund, you could see like he's playing like a free role. He was having the ball than any of the Dortmund player. He dominates the ball. He keeps the ball than any of the Dortmund player. So probably their manager has given him a free role. But with United, maybe he's playing under Erik ten Hag's like tactics that you're not allowed to keep the ball maybe more than 2 or 3 touches. But with Dortmund, you could see like, okay, he has the freedom to do whatever he wants with the ball. And you could see like he's very good on the ball. No one can take that away from him.
Yeah, I
agree. I think he's a very talented player. I said this last week. Nobody wanted him to sign for United more than me. I thought we had enough guys who could run and try to get in on goal. Although Martial is a good kind of facilitator, I wanted a winger who could play guys in, who could beat a man in the counterattack and then play that final pass. And we've seen him do it. Like Nuno Mendes, he's a young player. He's a big talent. But he just, he got dusted by Sancho on Wednesday. And it was, you got to give all credit to Sancho. But for me, I think you're both right about the free roll and having the style, like he needs to be the guy, right? Like there's always talented players. Like we saw it with Ronaldo in his first stint at United. You see it a little bit with like a Neymar at PSG or a Messi. That's the guy who can kind of like walk around a little bit. I don't know if Sancho is the guy who can walk around at, United or, a City or something like that. Like he needs to be a guy who's going to be, sprinting and tracking back and making an effort. We didn't see that enough from him. That's my opinion. But hopefully, they see enough in these next 2 games where somebody wants to take a chance on him. If he's, happy to go there. I think he seems happy in Germany, although he did have some problems there, in his last stint where he mentioned, being scapegoated and treated unfairly at Dortmund, but it seems like they've all made up. But, hopefully somebody comes in, maybe a PSG. I know a lot of teams, they get killed by a guy and they're like, we need to go buy him. That's how United bought Ronaldo in the first place. So hopefully we get enough bidders to get a decent fee for him. Because I don't think he should come back to United.
It all comes down, I guess, to like the system, right? Like, I guess he wasn't in the right system at United, obviously, and you can see in Dortmund he's just like a complete different player. And let's not forget that was like a Champions League semi-final against PSG. You know what I mean? Like that's not just like if he's playing against like Burnley or something like that. You know what I mean? Or an FA Cup. Mm-hmm. And I know last year he wasn't good at all in the FA Cup. But again, it goes back for me to the system, right? Because in the system of Erik ten Hag is, we don't set up correctly anyways to be so he has to constantly keep tracking back and doing other things where he doesn't have that free roll, as Mo was saying. So he can't express himself, as that player. So I think it just comes down to like a system that we were trying to, I guess, work him in and stuff like that. I still think that there's a player there. If we can get the right system and the right, I guess, players around him that have like that can play with him, because I think he has really good football IQ. And if you play him like with a Rashford who doesn't have any good football IQ, you're not going to see the best out of him. So if you put him around those players and around a system that works, 100%, like this guy could be doing what he's doing at Dortmund. But if Erik ten Hag stays, then there's no chance at all. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say about him. But I want him to stay. But we'll see if we can get money and get someone else. Then I'm cool with that. But if it were up to me, I would keep him. But I would also get rid of the manager too. So if he stays, then he's gone.
Let me ask you one question, Kelvin. To bring Sancho back and get rid of Marcus Rashford, which one to keep, Rashford or Sancho? Who will you keep among them two? Sancho
I would get rid of Rashford, 100%. I would get rid of Rashford, 100%. He can go to PSG or something, but yeah.
Chris, who will you keep among them two? Sancho or Rashford?
I've seen Rashford score 30 goals in a United shirt. Like I've never seen Sancho do anything close. And I agree. I think the system wasn't fit for his or tailored to his skills or his strengths. But I also think that that game last night was pretty open. And I think Germany is a much more open league. There's not a lot of teams that are parking the bus and playing in their box. Like even the worst teams, you see their center backs pushing up at least to like a mid block, almost to midfield if they get the ball. So I think there's a lot more, they call it like it's a basketball game. But there's a lot more of those games in Germany where it's really open. And somebody like Sancho, I think he thrives in space. And Germany doesn't quite have the athletes I think the Premier League does. The Premier League is good at, having teams where it's like these guys are big, they're physical, they can move. And then they're also going to camp in their box, and then you have to break it down. And I think he's a guy who's got like tricky feet, and he can dribble, and he can manipulate space, and he knows how to make runs. I think there was a goal, I think it was this year, where Casemiro had that little no look dink over the defense, and Sancho had made that run, and he played it across the box to, I forget, maybe it was Rashford or Garnacho, but somebody else scored. But it kind of showed like his intelligence and how he can play. But I think he's much more suited to a separate league where he doesn't have to deal with the same rigors and physicality of the Premier League. That's my opinion.
Right. I agree with that to a certain extent. I guess like what I was gonna say is that Premier League isn't even the best league in the world right now. Like no English teams in Europe in the Champions League. No English teams in the Europa League. It's like we've become the actual Farmers League. So this whole thing about like the Bundesliga and all these other leagues being better than the Premier League or something like that, I disagree because how come Arsenal couldn't be Bayern? How come all these English teams? How come City couldn't be Real Madrid? You know what I mean? So it's don't underestimate. I think what I was just trying to say is like this was Champions League semifinal against PSG who made it and beat teams like Barca or whatever, whoever else they beat. This is the semifinal, so that's why I wouldn't agree with that, saying that in the Premier League is different because the quality is higher. I don't agree with that because the Premier League, I think the quality is lower. But that's just my opinion, you know what I mean? But yeah, what about you, Mo? Would you keep Rashford or Sancho?
Oh, that's a tough question. I brought this question up, but it's kind of tough. It's kind of. I just want to hear your opinion. For me, like I said earlier on, if he's gonna produce that kind of performance against Paris Saint-Germain at United, I'll definitely have him back at United. Let's not forget Marcus Rashford. He has one of the best seasons of his career last season, and he's having one of the worst seasons of his career this season. This season he's already played 31 games in all competition and scored only 7 goals this season. And last season he scored almost like 30 goals in all competition. So you could see like the difference. What's his name? Sancho has only been to Dortmund since January, and he's only played 12 games in all competition, and then in the Bundesliga and scored 2 goals, and then I think 5 goals in the Champions League and scored something like 1 goal or something like that. So you could see like there are 2 different kind of players like having a different time of their career, which is kind of like tough for them. So I think it's a tough question. I'm not gonna lie, it's a tough question, but I'll definitely get rid of Marcus Rashford. I'll definitely get rid of Marcus Rashford because I think he's already paid his dues to United. He's already done what he can do for the club. He's not getting any younger. He's getting older. So I'll probably like get rid of Marcus Rashford and just give someone else the chance. Maybe like, hey,
I'll tell you what, the value. Oh, sorry, Mom. The value in selling Rashford is through the FFP, right? It's all profit. So we bought Sancho for 74 mil or whatever it was, 75 mil. And, I don't know like exactly how it works, the amortization rules. But if we sold him, like hypothetically the next year for 70 or whatever it is, we would take a loss in financial fair play. So that would affect our transfer spend. I know if we sell Rashford was free. He was a youth product. All of that is pure profit for summer transfer spend and our, financial fair play. I think that's the main value in selling Rashford. The other one is,
also
there is
wages.
kind of that.
His wages, his wages are very
Sancho's
high.
on more wages. Sancho's on more wages.
Well, yeah, I guess both of them
Sancho
are
was brought in. Yeah.
But I guess if you look at Rashford, it's like 100%, like you're saying, it's like academy player. So it's on top of that, we also get the wages back. That, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. This guy's like almost 400 or something like that. It's
How much
insane.
do you think Rashford will command on the market? How much do you think a team would like to buy Marcus Rashford? No one is going to buy Marcus Rashford more than 50 million pounds. No
Yeah.
club will buy Rashford more than 50 million pounds.
50,
No,
60.
not that much.
Same as Sancho. None of them can command 50 million pounds in the transfer market.
Right? Oh, 50? No, for 50 right now. I think we get 50 for Rashford. I think we might get 70 for Rashford. No, I know he's having a terrible year. But again, and just to
All
go
right, let's
back
be
to the
halfway.
other point,
60. We meet halfway. 60.
60. It's okay. I take honestly, that's not a bad fee. I think right now the way he's playing. You're talking about last year, we probably could have gotten 100, 120 for him.
Yeah.
But I think to go back a little bit, and I think they tie in to Kevin's point about the Premier League being a farmers league. Like who we know who the winner is in the French league is. We know who the winner is in the German league. We pretty much know the winner in the Spanish league, right? Like Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, they were all in a title race, right?
Now Liverpool is
There's
out of the
no
title race.
I mean, we ruined their season, so we can laugh at them again. That's a segment we should have. We should start the show with that. United's so depressing. We should start with some good news. But like these teams, there's no weeks off in the Premier League. It's like you're thinking it's a title fight, right? Like we're sparring with other title contenders, not us, but City, Arsenal. They have to go hard week in, week out, 2 games a week. The schedule is different. You play in Paris, you play in France, you play in Germany. You're playing teams like Volkrum or whatever I've never heard of. Toulouse, right? The teams that are really lightweights. You can rotate. You can play your young guys. You still get a result. You're not having to play your best players at full intensity, which is why I think Man City. I mean, Klopp, he makes excuses all the time. Pep makes excuses all the time as well. I think a lot of these teams, they're coming into these games, they're not quite as fresh as like a Bayern. Bayern, they lost the title 2 weeks ago, right? So they're going into these games. This is all they have to play for. City has to keep an eye on the league. They have to keep an eye on the cups, etc. They have the FA Cup as well, the same way we do. I think a player like Rashford, it's similar to Sancho, could go to a league like that. And this is, something that I think very, very strongly where it's a little bit more open. There's a couple more cupcakes on the schedule. He can not track back. He can kind of play, half-ass football that he's kind of been playing with us and getting, torn apart about it, and then show up for the big games and do what Rashford does. Like he scores at the big games. He scored against City this year. He scored against Arsenal. He scored against Spurs. Last year, the same. Arsenal, City, Spurs. I think Liverpool as well. He scored against Chelsea a bunch. I think he's a guy who could rehab his image, like not look great in certain games, and then pop up on the big stage and, score a big goal or 2 goals because he's got the speed to get in behind the defense. And then everyone's like, Marcus Rashford's class. And, United were terrible. Like they let him go. Like I think he could do that, for United. That's the reason why I think, for him, maybe he'd want to go, to kind of rehab his image and not, deal with the constant scrutiny he gets here because, United are box office. They're, the top of the marquee all the time. There's random, African parliaments talking about Harry Maguire and, random Russian Twitter accounts trolling United when we lose. And it's like, who are you? Like you're in like the 3rd league in some Russian, farmers league for real. Like why are you bothering us? So that's where I land on. I don't know.
If Rashford was to go to France, dude, those French, like if PSG, those French fans are like they're like hostile as well. Like they didn't like Neymar. Like they gave him so much stick. Like if Rashford goes over there and he performs the way he's doing here now, they would hate him, and he would get even just as much, if not more, abuse than he's getting in the UK. So it's like I don't even know if he would want to go or anything like that. For his career, I think he should, to be honest. But I don't know. Like even the French league, it doesn't seem like it would be a right fit for him because this guy's. I don't know if you guys saw like the tweet. Like he's like retweeting things and like 12 in the morning, or like replying to tweets. I don't know if it was actually him or like an account that's ran by his team or something like that. But it's like this guy
His
is
brother
such,
had a few.
yeah, or something. It's like, dude, you're not doing well for yourself. You're not even putting a good brand or a good name to yourself, even off the pitch. You know what I mean? I think this guy is, for me, like, it's not just on the pitch. It's, it's things off. Like, his commitment, I don't think it's there. Like the whole Belfast thing and all these things. I feel like we gave him too much power. You know what I mean? Like, this is the problem with football. We give these young players, like, back then, like, let's say Rio Ferdinand, he would have to, like, he would be like the boot, like the guy who would, like, clean the boots and stuff like that, and the cleats for the senior players in West Ham and stuff like that. Nowadays, you're 18 and you're a great player. All right, let me put you on so much money, you know what I mean, and make you the star of the team. And I'm gonna build my team around you. Is football is different now, you know what I mean? And this is where we messed up in United, and giving this guy like so much money and giving him so much, I guess, like, fame, and making him the face of the club in some sort of way, that's just I think that has let him, like, get to him. So I hope that, like, I think the move out of this United, out of this hostile, I guess, like, environment that he's in, for himself, I think is the best thing. So if he was, like, smart and cared about his career, I think he would want to go. So that's why I would personally just get rid of Rashford more than anything. But that's just me.
Yeah, I hard to argue with those points. I would keep Rashford. I wouldn't bring Sancho back, but again, he's a little older. There's good value there financially, and if he wants to make the move and we get a good fee for him, like, I'll wish him the best. I prefer he stayed, but, like, I understand, based on the way the season went, if things didn't work out, he didn't move on. But speaking of moving on, little ham-handed transition there. The Ten Hag Gary Neville interview dropped today. I don't know. Do any other managers do these interviews mid-season? Like, is Klopp doing like a Jamie Carragher interview? Is Pep doing I don't know, Joe Hart? I don't know who the Man City legends are. Like a Joe Hart interview, Micah Richards interview, like whatever. So Ten Hag, he did the Gary Neville interview. A lot of interesting quotes. He touched on signings that he wanted to make, or like Gary Neville brought up. He wanted Kane potentially and Frankie De Jong. Didn't bring up Kim Min-jae, who's another player I think he wanted, but we ended up not signing. We ended up with Johnny Evans instead. Ten Hag did mention how the injuries affected the team, right? 30 different starting center backs, 30 different back four combinations, I think, in 47 matches. And then he also talked about the style of play, right? So he talked about how we've been scoring more goals since Christmas. Gary Neville did mention how, we were open and giving up a lot of goals. And he said, can you play a little bit more pragmatic, sit a little bit back more defensively and try to concede less goals? And Ten Hag did mention that, yeah, they thought about it, but, do they want to teach a more pragmatic style of play? And then when their good players become healthy again, are they going to switch back a third time to go back to the style he was trying to teach? And it's kind of like, for me, it feels almost like he's kind of like, damned if you do, damned if you don't, let me go down swinging, trying to play my style. But, what did you guys think from, the quotes you saw from the interview? I don't know if you guys watched the whole interview. I didn't watch the whole thing. I mostly saw clips, but, let me know what you guys thought and how you think Ten Hag came out of this interview looking.
Mo, you want to go or I go?
No, go ahead.
I think that this guy just keeps, like, for the whole injury excuse thing, like, he kept going back to, like, the whole, by the way, like, this whole, like, interview is all propaganda, by the way. Like, why are you gonna make an interview when no one else is doing an interview? You know what I mean? It just screams like propaganda to me. I don't know if it's from the club. I don't. It has to be from the club, obviously. But
it has to be. There's no way he does this without the club's blessing.
Of course. So it's all propaganda to me, and I think that, like, Eric Ten Hag is, like, under a lot of scrutiny. So they're like, okay, let's get an interview with Gary Neville, or one of our legends from the club. And Gary Neville has been bashing him all season. All season long, he's been saying, he's not doing things right. He's not, making the right substitutions or whatever, or the style of play. And then and then he had the interview, and then he was interviewed by Jamie Carragher, and he's like, "Oh, you know what? But he had injuries, and he had 37 combinations of center backs, and he just flipped the script. He did a complete 180." It's like that to me. It's like, okay, so what changed? You know what I mean? Like it's just fishy. It just seems fishy to me. But I want to go back on the points that he was saying. He kept going to like, oh, the injuries.
I want to hear Mo's. I want to hear
injuries.
Mo's take, and then we'll go back and we'll go through the points individually.
Yeah, I was
All
just
right,
looking at some
I'm
of the
done.
points.
I'm done. Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at some of the things that he highlighted, talking about like missing out on Hurricane, and then Frankie De Jong and Casemiro, Kobe Mino in midfield, and then he spoke about Luke Shaw and Tara Malasia, and then missing the best left back from last season, Licha, and then he spoke about 61 separate injuries, 30 centre back combination in 47 games, and then our strong 11, the starting 11, like having different combination of starting 11 throughout the season. It's kind of like fishy and kind of tricky, because if you look at some of the results that we had some of the throughout the season, he has no excuses for some of the results that we had. Losing at Fulham, for me, that's the most painful one. Losing to Fulham at Old Trafford, you have no excuse for that. Playing 1-1 with Burnley just recently, you have no excuse for that. But trying to take some of the facts, some of the things that happened throughout the season, like as some facts, some of the injuries that we've had, like playing like almost 4, 5, 6 matches without left backs, proper left back, with playing like a couple of games without like proper centre backs. You just have to give the guy some chance to prove himself. But hey, like this is United. I keep on saying this. This is United. We don't have that time to like give you that time to prove yourself. If the transfer window is opened, you have the time to like choose your players that can help you throughout the season. If you choose the wrong players and then you fail during the season, you have yourself to blame and not the players that you signed, because you chose those players. Even though like it goes through a process before the players get signed. If the players feel like the players that he brought in the beginning of the season, people were blaming Onana. He wasn't performing properly before the AFCON. And then everyone was pointing fingers at Erik ten Hag because he brought Onana in. But when Onana started performing properly, no one was mentioning Erik ten Hag. So that's how tricky the situation is. If you bring them in and they perform properly, the players will get accolades. But the moment they start to fail, you will be blamed for like their failure. So it's kind of like a tricky thing. Like I said, I'm just waiting for the season to end, and then we see what Ineos have in their back for us. If they're gonna maintain him till next season, concerning like looking at the problems that he's had during the season, or they're just gonna get rid of him and then start afresh, bring in a new manager and a new structure. I don't know.
I agree with a lot of things you're saying. Like, I just wanted to add to it. Like, he keeps going back to like the whole injury thing, but bro, he acts like injury isn't a part of the sport, right? He acts like other teams haven't had injuries. He acts like, oh, we're going through like the worst period ever. We have injuries. We can't play good football. We can't even beat teams like Burnley. We can't even beat teams like Bournemouth. We can't even beat relegation fodder. Barely get across the line of Coventry. Bro, all I hear is excuses, excuses, excuses. If you're dating a girl and you love her and she's cheating on you and you stick with her because you think that she's gonna change, well, guess what? There's no excuse for cheating. Dump the girl, leave her, and move on. I don't understand why this guy keeps making excuses.
I totally agree with you. I agree with you, Kevin, on that. What's on, bro?
Of course, man. There's no reason why. We've seen this all season about he had Varane on the bench for, let's not forget, he had Varane on the bench for Man City and he left him out. Why? Because of tactics. When we're playing against one of our biggest rivals and the champions of England, our best center back Varane, he's like, oh, we left him out for tactics. It's like little things that, like, even I would hear this whole injury excuse if we didn't have other players available, but we've had other players available and he hasn't chosen them. He hasn't chosen the right combinations. He hasn't chosen the players that deserve a chance, And for me, this whole injury thing personally, I just think it is an excuse because other managers, other people who actually know football, right, I think could get at least, obviously not to challenge with this team. Every team is going to be a struggle with the injuries that we got, but to not get over the line against, like I was saying, Fulham, teams like this, for me, that's unacceptable and inexcusable. And the more we keep making excuses for this guy, the more we keep letting our standards drop fans, and I'm gonna let that standard drop as fan because I know when I see good football and I don't see good football. I don't see organization. I don't see structure. I don't see good game management. I don't see man management. I don't see none of this from this guy. And last year we've seen things that from this guy that maybe we can get behind, and this year has been a complete 80. Not and to me, I don't understand that he's saying that he can't play the Ajax way because he doesn't have Frankie De Jong, and he would have had Frankie De Jong and Casemiro, as if Frankie De Jong and Casemiro would have fixed the midfield, because Frankie De Jong isn't a 6. You know what I mean? So it's like he was still, even if he had Frankie De Jong, he would still be playing them both and leaving the midfield exposed. So it's like this guy doesn't. For me, it's just like this guy doesn't know what he's just making excuses. It's like he's waffling. He's gaslighting us. Like, and that's why I think it's fishy. This is why I think it's fishy, because why are you gonna put an interview when he's like, towards the end of the season, when every fan is like against him, well, not every fan, but the
I
majority.
feel like
of
a lot of
base,
fans are Ten Hag in. I think there's a vocal, group that's Ten Hag out.
exactly. So
fans are still Ten Hag in.
This interview speaks Ten Hag in. This interview speaks that they want to keep this man. And they're like, okay, so we're gonna end up keeping him. So you know what? Let's make an interview so we can, when he stays, it doesn't seem like such a bad thing, because this happened this season because we've been through injuries and all this crap, all this BS that to me is just excuses. So I don't know that I have a lot more to say, but I want to hear your takes on it. You know what I mean? So I guess we can go back and forth on that. But whoever
tell me
wants
why
to
you
go
mad,
next.
son. Tell me why you mad. No, but for real though. I hear what you're saying. No, I get it. And the football hasn't been good enough this year, right? Like the style of play has been hard to watch. I don't agree with everything Ten Hag does. I don't like all of his decisions. I've seen situations where he's made a sub and I've been like, I disagree with it. But there's two things I would say. One, he made a comment, and everyone is giving Harry Maguire a lot of credit right now. I give Harry Maguire a lot of credit. He was supposed to be sold in the summer. He didn't leave. He was on the bench. He was, brought in because of injuries. I don't think he's United quality. I don't think he's someone who fits the style of play, whether it's Ten Hag or Ineos, that we should be playing moving forward. But he has done well this year when he's been on the pitch. He's scored big goals. He's been a reliable defender. He's played hurt. Give him all his props. But, last year he came on the field, I think it was preseason, and he got booed. And they asked Ten Hag in a press conference, what does he think about Maguire getting booed? I don't remember the entire quote. This wasn't the entirety of what he said, so I don't want to be taken out of context here. But essentially what he said was, look, we have passionate fans. If you perform, it'll take care of itself. That stuff will go away. So the style of play, the substitutions, the decisions, the man management, Mo alluded to this as well with Onana, the players you bring in, if we're getting results, if, against Chelsea, against Brentford, against Liverpool, if in those three matches we hold on to the lead that we have in the 93rd minute or the 95th minute or the 85th minute or whatever it is, nobody's talking about this because we're closer to fourth place and we're looking at Villa and wondering if we can catch them. Yeah, the standards are on the floor. The team is not where it needs to be. The size of this club, the history of this club, we're not where we need to be. But we haven't been for the last 10 years since, Fergie left, since Sir Alex Ferguson left. So, to get back to that point, I think we need to build the team in a certain way. And the other point that I wanted to make is he did mention injuries and how it affects style of play. He's bought 3 defenders, right? He bought Malacia, he bought Lissandro Martinez, and he bought Johnny Evans, which I don't think anyone can make a claim that Ten Hag set out to buy Johnny Evans at any point in his career. It was like, this guy showed up, he looked okay because we had a bunch of injuries. Maybe he was going to stick around in kind of like a professor emeritus role, and kind of mentor the youth. They took him on the tour, and injuries happen, and he ends up being in the squad and signing a year-long contract. If he wants to play the Ajax style, he needs ball-playing defenders. of the players that have been available this year, Delo is the only guy who you could say is someone who, fits that system, looks good in that system, has been trained in that system. I think Varane is a legend, right? Great defender last year. He was a stone, a rock in the back. That center back partnership was amazing. But Varane, he's never been a guy who's like, super silky, comfortable on the ball. He's passable, but like when you pressure him, he can make mistakes. Maguire's the same. Lindelof is good on the ball, but like he's been playing for counterattacking United and counterattacking Sweden majority of his senior career. The only guys who we've had who are good on the ball in the back four are Delo, Lisandro Martinez, and Luke Shaw. Lisandro Martinez, not available for the majority of the season. Luke Shaw, not available for the majority of the season. Actually, Malacia goes in that group as well. That dude, I don't even know, like, until they dropped that picture this week, I wasn't even sure that dude was alive. That dude's, chilling on the beach with Tupac somewhere, sipping Mai Tais. Like, we don't know what happened to Malacia until we saw him working out. So, yes, I agree. Injuries aren't an excuse in general. But, this guy is brought in to start a project, to build a project. A lot of people have been saying, and I can't speak for this firsthand because I don't watch the youth team, but he's changed in conjunction with the work they did before him. He's changed the playing style of the team at every level where they look like that, like Ajax style, the under 21s, the under 18s, all those teams, they're playing a high line and they're out there like smoking the competition. So for me personally, I want to see this guy finish the project. I want to get players in who we know fit his system so we can see if this guy is really about it or not. I agree. He hasn't earned himself, 5 more years or whatever it is. He hasn't done enough to say, okay, this guy is clearly the manager. But I think you have to at least give him a little bit of leeway, regarding the injuries and the inability to play the way he wanted to play.
Interesting. Go ahead. It's really interesting, like with this Ten Hag thing. Like I made a post today on my page on Instagram, like about the managers that were linked to Old Trafford, Southgate, Graham Potter, and Thomas Tuchel. And I was like, I'd rather stick with Eric Ten Hag than to go with any of those managers. With Ten Hag, you could see like, okay, he needs time. He needs them at Old Trafford. Like he needs them at United to like get it done, get the job done properly. But with Southgate, Graham Potter and Thomas Tuchel, it's a no-go area for me. Like no-go area. I don't want none of them at Old Trafford. I'd rather stick with Ten Hag than to have any of them at Old Trafford. No matter how bad the situation is.
How about you, Kevin? Would you? I mean, honestly, like knowing what's out there, like I know Tuchel's available. I'm not a huge Tuchel fan, but I think he is a top level manager. Even though like it seems to blow up after 2 years at every big job now for him, like are you 100% set on scrapping this guy and starting over, or would you give him like to Christmas, have like an Ineos summer transfer window? We buy the players that we think fit the system, and then hopefully we can make it so that we can play his style, get some injuries back, and see if he can recapture some of that year one magic. And then if he can't, like, that's it. But I don't know. What do you think, Kevin? Like, you think he's just completely dusted?
For me, I believe that like let's say when you do a job, you kind of have to earn it, right? Last year he did a good job, decent good job, and we won a trophy. We all loved him. We all were very very excited about the future. He earned that 1 year. What he has done in this year has been a complete 180 of what we were seeing, or the progression. We're not even playing the same type of football, or there's no organization and all these things that we see, right? He's regressed like a lot. It's not even just like by a little, but he's regressed by a lot. So for me, you got to earn that right to go another year. After this year, for me, like at your job, if you're gonna perform the way me, he doesn't deserve it, and that's just on me. doesn't mean that like Tuchel will be any better or any of these guys. We don't know. Like there's so many managers. There's not so many. Let me correct myself. There isn't many managers out there in the market because it's kind of bad right now. But I do know that there are other managers that if can get the best out of the players that we have that could actually play with the system, because the job of a manager is for you to get the best out of the players and not the other way around. It's not the players that have to get best out of the manager. That's not how it works. It's supposed to be the coach gets the best out of what he has. That's why he's the coach. That's why he gets paid. And I know he keeps saying that we don't have the right players, the right exact you know what I mean? And for me that's just, I can't accept that. You know what I mean? Because the job for a manager is exactly that. So I wouldn't give him another year, 100%. I would get rid of this guy. Who we get is who knows, but yeah, this guy for me, I will stand on my business, and he, no matter what, for me, this guy needs to leave. But that's just me.
No, I hear that, and honestly, it's been a rough year, and like, I'm pretty clearly Ten Hag in.
Yo,
I
hello?
think a lot of it's
Did it freeze?
circumstances. Who, me? Are we all good? Can you guys hear me, or am I talking to myself? Okay. Can you guys hear me? Okay. I mean, I'm here. My point, right? Uh-oh. YouTube giving us troubles here. Can you hear me, Mo?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure that we're still live here.
I can hear you, bro. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Glad we're back. Yeah, like I said, I'm
Yeah,
Ten
I can
Hag
hear you,
in. It's pretty clear I'm Ten Hag in, but it's been hard to watch this season. And like my faith in the team, has wavered at point. My faith in the players, the manager, it's wavered because it's been a rough season for everybody. And I think all United fans, true United fans, they really care about this team. And, it's tough to watch. And, we're in sixth place right now. That can obviously change. We're playing Palace on Monday. Palace are playing well right now too. I know everyone's going to say, well, it's Palace. We should definitely beat Palace. But like, they've beaten Liverpool, they've beaten West Ham, they beat Newcastle, they beat Fulham. Like they're unbeaten in 4, and they're playing very well right now. So I think this is going to be a tough match for us. Again, injuries, potentially Bruno out, Rashford, I heard was still out. I know Martial is back. I think Johnny Evans is back. But at the same time, I think this is a team that's playing very well. So it's going to be a tough match for us. We have Arsenal again, the following weekend, I believe, and then Newcastle and then Brighton. And then we have the FA Cup final on the 25th. Like, what do you guys want to see from the rest of the season? I know we want to end the season now and start the Ineos rebuild, but we got to talk about what do you guys want to see for the rest of this season, heading into that final, and then heading into the summer to say, United kind of did right by us and, finish the season strong.
Yeah. With the finals of the FA Cup, I'm not going to lie, I don't want to give myself too much hope because I know, we'll be beating 80%, City are wounded lions. They're the treble dream is already gone. So they'll definitely go all out to get double this season. We couldn't stop them we could have stopped them from winning the treble last season, but we couldn't. And imagine this season. So with City, I'm not expecting much. All I wanted is let's end the season war. We shouldn't go down to maybe 9th or 10th or something like that, because Chelsea are coming. Chelsea are not far away from United, and Newcastle. We got Newcastle. Chelsea is 8th behind us, and then Newcastle is 7th. With the points difference, it's Chelsea has 51 points, Newcastle 53, and we have 54 points. So you could see the difference is not that huge. I would prefer let's maintain the seat till the end of the season. If we cannot go above Tottenham, let's just maintain our position. We shouldn't just go down. That's all I can say, because I'm not expecting much from the club. The Champions League spot has already been given away, so I'm not expecting much.
But if you,
I'm pretty much the same thing.
okay,
The same thing for me. Yeah. But go ahead. What were we gonna ask, Chris? Go ahead.
no,
My
go
bad.
ahead. It's going to be for both of you.
Okay. Nothing. I'm just I just have no faith in this team. I have no faith in this manager. I have no faith in anything. So it's like we're gonna lose against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace is a good side, man. They've been playing good football. They have ballers. We're terrible away from home. So it's either going to be a draw or a loss for me. And it's crazy that I'm saying this, you know what I mean? Because it's like we should be able to get wins, like comfortable wins against these type of teams and secure at least like Champions League football or something like that. But it wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea catch up to us. You know what I mean? Chelsea, who have had a terrible season, are
Yeah.
like a couple points away from us. If we lose some games and they win theirs, they leapfrog us, and that's a reality. We can finish behind Chelsea, and if that's the case, then this season has been a disgrace. It's already a disgrace for me. It's a disgrace already. But if that happens, then how that's just more embarrassing for me to go out like that. So hopefully we get the points, and we need to do what we need to do. So at least we can secure the Europa League spot or something. You know what I mean? So we need to get a win and we need to stop Arsenal too. You know what I mean? So we need to stop. There's big games coming up. The season is still not over. So hopefully we turn up, man. But am I confident? No, I'm not confident. But let's hope for our players to actually turn up. Because we know that the manager is probably not gonna set them up right. So most of the time we do a lot of stuff that's individual brilliance. So I just hope that some of the players turn up, and somehow we get past like Europa League stages, because I don't want to be in the Conference League. I'd rather be out of Europe than be in the Conference League. So yeah, man, the aim is Europa League, and I'll take that.
Yeah, I hope we stick to the same, because the
Considering
worst
it's been a crap season, by the way.
yeah, our worst season has been under David Moyes. I think 2013, 2014, that we finished 7th. I think that's been our worst season since since Ferguson left. So I just hope, like, Ten Hag has had a bad record, and I hope he doesn't break this one. I hope he just maintains his 6th position, doesn't go like to 7th or 8th, because the moment he loses that position to Chelsea, I bet you Newcastle overtake us as well. So he better sticks to this like 6th position to the end of the season.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask if you guys wanted to, like, again, I don't want to finish 8th or 9th or whatever it is.
No.
I don't think West Ham are catching us. We at least have, I think, a better goal difference than West Ham does. But the other teams, Chelsea and Newcastle, they believe they can catch us. And if we're level on points, then we go behind just because of our terrible goal difference this year. But like, honestly, what I was thinking, like, and again, I do want to get, 59 points. I think our worst Premier League points total is 58.
Yeah.
So I want to get at least 59 points. I don't want it to be the worst Premier League season, because that's going to be something we're going to be hearing about all summer. And then after that, I kind of want them to use these 4 games as a tune-up. Like, obviously, I want to do as well as possible. I want to beat Arsenal, although I'd rather Arsenal win the league than Man City, even though Arsenal probably have the most annoying fans. But at the same time, I kind of want them to
Not
use
for
these.
Mo. Not for Mo. Mo lives in London, bro. There's Arsenal fans like everywhere, probably.
But they're probably more annoying because of that.
No, Chelsea fans are more annoying to me. Chelsea fans are more annoying, and they are the most noisiest fans in London. Trust me. I'd rather prefer, like, for Arsenal to win the league ahead of like Man City, as I've been saying this all season long. Like, I would rather see Arsenal to win the league, but to beat Arsenal at Old Trafford is something that maybe like, okay, let's end the season on a good note. Beating Arsenal at Old Trafford would be like, okay, a jelly top on the season for us, even though it's been bad, but at least that will give us some excitement to end the season with.
Yeah, I'll take the points.
Yeah,
I agree.
Hope and pray, fingers crossed, heading into that FA Cup final, that we could, potentially scam a result or get something. Martial's back. Martial, I don't know how you guys feel about Martial. I've been a huge fan of his. I know he gets injured a lot, and he's not around when we need him a lot. But he's a guy who, when he's on his game and he's firing well, like he's a guy who can make a difference. And he's playing for a contract. He's on a free this summer. So if this guy can come back, stay healthy, get in shape, play like he did in Ten Hag's first preseason, and maybe come in and give me that game-winning goal in the FA Cup final, Martial. So
like I
we can
said,
sing that song again.
Now, with Martial, I'm not even counting him out. Like, I'm not even adding him to the squad because his contract runs out in summer. And then, like I said, Ineos trying to build something new. I'm looking forward to next season. Let's build something new. I don't even want to add Martial. If I'm Ten Hag, I'm not even going to put Martial because he's already missed half of the season, and we've already had bad season. He cannot turn our season around within like the 4 games that we have left or something like that. Maybe if you can do something in magic, maybe it might be in the FA Cup final. But if I'm Ten Hag, I'm not even going to add him. I'm just going to give the young ones the chance to see what they have in them and what they can bring to the club next season. If Ten Hag is still going to be there, but given someone who is leaving after 3 or 4 games, he's leaving the club. There's no point in even featuring him in any of our games. That's what I think. Even though like he's on contract, but like I don't see the point. I don't see the point of having Martial in our team for the rest of the season. Now.
I would play him. I think his link and play is very good compared to Højlund's. Højlund is his link and play is his back to go is terrible, but Martial is actually pretty good in that. But he hasn't been fit, so that's the issue. You know what I mean? But the good thing is that we will have some like players back and towards the end of the season, which is good. That way, if we lose, I don't want to hear no excuses from injuries or nothing like this because we're gonna have our players back. So I'm here for it. So Ten Hag, you're gonna have your players back. Time to work, buddy. Time to work. Let's get this. Let's stop City from winning this FA Cup and let's get in the Europa League. Let's go.
No, I hear you, Mo. Maybe you could get Ethan Wheatley those minutes, but I think Ten Hag will play him. I think Ten Hag again wants to win every match, and I think getting this guy fit, making sure Højlund can stay fit, because I felt like we've been overplaying Højlund a little bit lately, and I don't want him to get another muscle injury. I think we got to do whatever we can do to get to that final and have a chance to finish the season on a high note. Just like I think we need to finish this United in the States stream on a high note. It's been a while. I know, Mo, it's a little late over there, so I think I'm going to call it. But again, thanks, guys, for hopping on. Great vid. Really, really good time, and always good to talk United with people who know what they're talking about. So thanks for coming on, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Hell yeah, man.
Me. Thank you.
Real quick before we go, score prediction for the weekend. What do you think, Chris?
For Crystal Palace on Monday? So we can't. We're obviously not keeping a clean sheet. I'm gonna go 2-1 United. I'm gonna go. We get lucky. There's an own goal. Dean Henderson is just too jacked to play this game. He goes back to do a throw in, throws it off the back of one of his players' heads. It bounces in the goal, or Højlund pounces on the rebound, and their heads drop. We end up winning 2-1. United have this thing where we play a team that we're probably should lose to, and then we get a goal or we get 2 goals, and they're like, why are we losing? And then they kind of drop their heads, or at least it used to be that way. But I think we have a chance with people coming back and with the season coming up to an end and the extra rest this week that we could kind of make a game of it. But what do you guys think?
What about you, Mo? What do you think for Monday?
No, I'm just gonna go in for a draw. I'm not expecting like a big win, because you could see like Crystal Palace, since they had a new manager, you could see like their performance has turned up, especially at home. You could see like their last performance against Fulham, even though they drew, but you could see they were in like they really meant business, and you could see the goal from Jeffrey Schlupp. You saw Eze is back, Michael Olise. They have Jordan Ayew with his experience and that kind of thing. It's not going to be an easy one, so like I'm not expecting much. I'm just gonna go in for a draw. But if we get a win, maybe a 1-0 or something like that, I'll be excited about it. But I'm not expecting like a big. United have this thing. If you expect United to win the game, you get heartbroken. I'm always complaining about this Fulham game. I think that's the worst I've had this season. Like, I was expecting United to beat Fulham hands down at Old Trafford, but yeah, it ended up being a painful one. So I'm not expecting much.
Bro, I was at that game too with Fulham, dude, and it was my first Old Trafford experience, and I saw that. So it was like, bro, I'm with you. Like, like
Yeah,
that to me was like
that
one of the
last minute
worst.
goal.
Yeah, dude, with Iwobi, I think it was, or
Yeah, it will
something.
be. Yeah, it will be.
Rock.
97th minute.
And then Fulham
Yeah,
fans
yeah.
just like chanting and like bantering us, and you can hear it from like the other side of the stadium. Like, bro, we were on a real low this season. Like, it's pretty bad, man. But yeah, Crystal Palace. I think I'm gonna go with the draw as well. But if we do win, it's gonna be like a scrappy win, like very 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 scrappy.
Yes, yes.
We'll be like on the ropes, for like the ending, the last like 15 minutes or something, and we might nick a goal or something like that. But yeah, I'll go for a draw. I'll say like 1-1 or 2-2, something like that.
Who's
Hmm.
scoring? Mo, who's scoring if we win? Or if we whatever.
Uh, Bruno Fernandes is a doubt, but if Fernandes is playing, yeah, definitely Fernandes is going to score for us.
Okay.
And then probably maybe Garnacho or Rashford. Who knows?
Kevin.
Definitely not Rashford. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. But I'd say Bruno, Bruno and Mainu. I'll go for Mainu.
Hmm.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for a Anthony goal.
Good shout. Good shout.
Anthony goal. He's playing well. He was bad against Sheffield and he was bad against Coventry. I'll give him that, but he's been decent for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Anthony goal to kind of continue. And I think Garnacho is due. I think Garnacho, he's kind of gotten like on his preferred side, the left side. He's been playing a few matches there. He's been running his socks off. And he hasn't really been rewarded from a goal perspective. I think he's due for one. So those are my two goal scorers.
Hopefully, so Dean Henderson can hold that, bro. Hopefully.
Yes, giant L, like Hollywood sized L for Dean Henderson, please.
Hell yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Hell yeah, man. Sweet. Let's catch you guys next week.
Yep.
Yeah.